what's going on, my beautiful people? This is your certified life and relationship coach, Coach Court. In today's video, we're going to be talking about whether you should avoid the avoidant person or not. But before I get into the video, I'm going to let a couple people get in here. If you guys aren't part of my Patreon, I really encourage you to get yourself signed up for the Patreon account. It is probably about 70% off your average coaching price if you will join that membership. And as long as you are part of the membership for the duration of your membership, you will get that 20 minutes of coaching every single month. I appreciate you guys for being here. I know it's midday. A lot of people are probably on the move. So I'm just going to give you guys a little bit more time to get into the stream. If you're coming in, say hello. Let me know who you are. If you're one of my moderators, for sure, you better let me know that you're in here. Hope you guys are having a good week. Happy Friday Eve. I hope you guys are still enjoying these live sessions that I'm giving to you guys. It's absolutely free content. So I would suggest that you really boost this out here, blast this feed out there. So people who want to get in here and get some free coaching today, I'm here for them. And, you know, they don't have to go anywhere else. They don't have to sign up for a session. They don't have to ask around like how to get signed up with me, because I'm right here right now. All right. Right here, right now. And I appreciate you guys for being here. If you're not part of the YouTube membership, I know I have a lot of people that are signed up right now, part of my YouTube harvest level, and I'm giving those out every single month. So they're really good sessions. I mean, I'm telling you, the things I learn about myself and also about the people that I work with is so empowering. It's like a, you know, I consider life a journey. You know, a lot of people do. It is a journey, and we all travel by ourselves. And when that journey's ending, it's only ending for you. It's not ending for anybody else that you're attached to. The holistic coach. What's up, brother? Welcome to the feed. Hey, Air Bubble. Hello, hello, hello. I guess I picked the right time to do this live session. All right. So let me go ahead and I don't have any notes today. I'm just going this out. I'm shooting from the hip today. So should you avoid the avoidant person? Yes and no. All right. There's your answer. Yes and no. Here's why. Here's why. If you're a secure person, you have the potential to, and the skill set to be able to help that avoidant person become more secure themselves. If you're an anxious person and you're used to, or you have the tendency to attract more avoidant people into your life, you may not want to take that route again. You may want to get yourself to the point where you've healed and you're able to stand firm in your secureness before you try to, date or court or whatever you're going to do with an avoidant person. And I know in the beginning of the relationship, you don't know what a person has. You don't know what type of attachment style a person has. And like I talk about all the time, the first 90 days in a relationship, you don't really know what you're dealing with, you know, because they have that spokesperson. They have that person that's not really, I guess, the president, I guess you would say. They have that house speaker out there. And you're like, all right, I kind of like the house speaker. And then the president comes out, the real person. And you're like, wait a minute. I think I like the house speaker better, because this person that I'm seeing right now is avoidant. You know, they have a hard time communicating about difficult topics. They avoid the topics altogether. They're not giving me as much love and affection and attention that they were in the beginning. They're workaholics. They're whatever, X, Y, Z. You guys know, you guys have seen plenty of my content on my, if you're new to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe. You're going to get this content every single time that, you know, the notification pops up. This is authentically me. This is who you're going to get. So if you're not subscribed, do me a favor. That's a thank you can give me. It's absolutely free content. And if you're not signed up for the Patreon account, Glenn, what's up, man? Moderator in the house. I appreciate you guys doing that for me. And then slam that like button. Slam that mug. Let people know that, hey, Coach Court kind of knows what he's talking about. All right. Do that for me. So back to the discussion. If you're an anxious person, you may want to, the first 90 days, you don't really know who you're dealing with. So it takes a while to learn, you know, once you learn about attachment styles, it takes a while to kind of pick up on little nuances in their behaviors. This is what I like about attachment styles too. When you learn about it and you actually really study and you get the nuts and bolts of it, you're gonna have the bad tendency, and I'm not gonna lie, to diagnose people in your life. And we don't diagnose. That's not what we should be doing. We should be seeing people exactly as they are and not putting them into any types of boxes. But after you learn this stuff, I know me personally, I was looking at everybody in my life. Like I'm looking at cousins, I'm looking at mom, I'm looking at dad, I'm looking at everybody, and I'm thinking about, all right, what type of attachment style is it? Oh, that makes sense. So it's interesting once you learn this stuff. So when you go into the dating scene, you want to make sure that you're armed with this information, and it's nice that you can be, because then you know what you're going to deal with for the rest of the relationship. And like I said, within that first 90 days, the mask is going to come off. You're going to be able to see some of the little issues that the person have. Like if it's an anxious person and you're just dating each other, and they see you liking other females' pictures or whatever else, they're going to have something to say. That's when you're going to see that anxiety coming out. You're going to see that jealousy coming out, and that mate garden, if you will. So should you avoid it? If you guys are just coming in here, the topic of the day is, should you avoid the avoidant person? Yes and no. That's the answer. Yes and no. If you're a secure person, by all means, because you have the skill set to go into this situation or this situationship or relationship, knowing what you have to do as far as like laying out your boundaries, communicating your needs, learning how to commute or knowing how to communicate. You're not going to walk on eggshells with them. You're going to, let them know like, hey, this is what I need from a spouse. This is what my standards are. These are my non-negotiables. This is my past experiences. So there's nothing to hide there. And moving forward, this is what I expect from this relationship dynamic. So if you're a secure person, go ahead, baby, do it. Do your thing. I say, hey, heal them one person at a time. You're not supposed to be your person's therapist and their counselor and their lover at the same time. Like I'm not encouraging you to do that, but you do have the skills to, make that thing go the distance. For the fearful avoidant person, should you avoid the avoidant? I'm not going to give you an answer on that one. I have worked with a lot. How about you guys down here? Put a 1 in the chat. What do you guys think? Do you think the fearful avoidant should avoid the dismissive avoidant? I've worked with that dynamic so much, and it's so triggering to the fearful avoidant person, which means it really diminishes their sense of self-worth. They get really confused as to what they're dealing with and who they're dealing with. So I guess that would be a case-by-case basis. But if it's an anxious person or a fearful person and they're doing work on themselves and they're able to show up in a manner that is holding space for themselves and communicating properly, setting those boundaries, then I say, hey, go for it. But once you know who you're dealing with, once you know the type of person they are and the characteristics that come along with them, then that's when that's when you choose what you want to do next, how you proceed next. Like before you get attached to that person, and I know a lot of people that are anxious get attached really easily. Before you commit any more time to that person and you really lay out your soul and bare your heart to that person, you want to make sure that you're in a good state first. That means you have like a good plan, course of action as far as like therapy, doing everything that I talked about. You got yourself a good regimen, like you got your hobbies, you got your friends, you got your job. Because what I see is a lot of people get triggered when they're with the avoidant person if the rest of the area, all the other areas in their life is off. Usually I see where somebody has just gotten out of a relationship, then they get into it with an avoidant person, or they've lost their job, they don't have a purpose, they're kind of going through like some type of midlife deal going on, and they end up getting into a relationship with the avoidant, and they really struggle mentally because they put a lot of their emotional energy into that person. Tony Robbins talks about this too. It's called the Will of Life. Have you guys ever heard of Tony Robbins' Will of Life? Put a one in the chat. He talks about this a lot. Well, he taught it before. I don't know if he still talks about it, but he had a theory that if you make a pie chart, all right, of all the different areas of your life, you know, you have health, hobbies, friends and family, work, relationship. Once one of those areas fall out of like whack, unbalanced, let's say you're going through a breakup, then your health is gonna go down, and you know what, because you're either going to eat more, you're going to eat less. Your workout routine may get ruined. Your work is going to decline. Even if you are an avoidant person, when they go through a breakup, they may put more into their hobbies, into their friends and families, and into their work life, and they'll diminish the other areas of their life. Like the relationship part is clearly going to take a big hit. It's clearly going to go down, and you know what. But if you think about it that way, and trying to like rebalance the rest of your life, you know, most people really struggle. They struggle, especially if you're somebody that's an anxious attachment. All right, you guys got questions? Open it up. Air Bubble, Lanice, Lee Family Adventures. All right. Lisa. Hey, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being a valued member of the community. You guys are all part of the membership program for a good duration of you. Appreciate you. So I don't even have to tell you about the value, the tremendous value you'll be getting from it. I don't have to plug it anymore either, because you guys are already in there. Lesson learned. What's your lesson you learned, Lisa? Talk to me. Corey Benjamin. What's up, man? I hope you're still in here. Like I said, happy Friday Eve. I appreciate you guys. What book could I recommend to you guys today? Well, you know what? I guess since it's been a week, it's been a real week. I'm pretty well-rounded when it comes to like people who motivated me, who influenced me to be here, to even do this, to even start this Fruitful Seeds business. This man right here is one of them, of course, Kobe Bryant, RIP. I guess it's kind of like this has been a week for him, for his family. You know, Vanessa, she's been struggling because you know, it's been his birthday. You know, 8/24 was Kobe Bryant Day. You know, a lot of people looked up to the man, you know, me included. I went through so much growing up that he actually influenced me to just never give up, keep pushing, no matter. You always got to work harder than the next man. That's basically what he taught me. Okay, so he has a 7-week withdrawal. He has 7-week withdrawal, quiet comeback cycle. I usually meet this cycle with the same energy. When he withdraws, I match that. Is that the right approach? To match it, yes. Don't talk about the relationship. Don't try to push anything that's real, like forceful. That's the way you want to go about it. But then you have to ask yourself, like, how long do you want to do this? How long do you want to continue this cycle? Are you really getting your needs met in this relationship? And that ambivalence, after a while, it's really going to eat away at you, you know, causing stomach ulcers and toxic stress, all those things. How long do you want to do that? That's the real question I have for you, Air Bubble. And what is it about this dynamic that you feel you absolutely need in your life? Because it's stressful. They say that, I forgot the percentage, but a huge percentage of your happiness and your pain is going to come from the person you decide to get into a relationship with. Maybe 90%, 95%. I forgot who came up with the quote. I was involved with the FADA, and what you said is once you figure out who you're dealing with, then it's your choice if you want to stay. Wish I had moved on when I saw the signs. Well, once you get attached to that person, and here's how I was talking to a client today. This is how they get you. This is how I guess I won't say how they get you. This is how you're unable to detach yourself from that person so easily. Once they give you their story, once they reveal their heart to you, once they let those walls down, if you were good enough to like get in there, peel the onion off, the layers of the onions off, and you get in there and you see who they are down to their core, almost like some twin flame type, soulmate type feeling. You see who they are. They reveal to you who they really are, and you see how much pain they've been through, and you see that little child inside them that you just want to nurture and help assist along their journey. But it's hard. It's hard to detach from that because you don't want to fail them, and you don't want to make it feel like what you promised them was just false, and you're going to be another person that just adds to their letdown. And this is why it's hard. This is why when you learn it really early on, you want to be very cautious, because it's important to understand that people who have insecure attachment styles, they typically don't change unless they actually do the work. They actually go to therapy, counseling, and follow whatever recovery plan they need to follow. People typically don't change on their own. Like, they're not going to wake up one morning just have an epiphany and say, "Hey, I don't think I want to be avoidant anymore," or I don't want to be anxious anymore. It doesn't work that way. No matter how well you think you're doing, all it takes is one text from that person. If as an anxious person, all it takes is one text from that person, and your heart's fluttering, and you're in a bad state again because you thought you had it all figured out. You thought you had this thing kicked, when if you didn't do the work, if you didn't know how to handle this, if you didn't know how to like identify your triggers and avoid those triggers, and replace those triggers with something else, kind of substitute it. If you wake up early in the morning and the first thing that you did was text them good morning, like, you're going to have to change that. You're going to have to figure out, what is it I can plug in here to start a new routine? And it takes 21 days to form a new habit. You guys know that. I got a affirmation video on my channel. If you guys haven't seen it, hey, if you're just coming in here and you want to be sure that you're not missing out on all my newest content, please hit the like button, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, boost his analytics, continue to help me out. That's one thing that you can do for me. I'm not asking you for money or anything. One thing you could do for me is to help me grow this community so we can get the support. Like, if you guys see the chat right now, people are talking, people are communicating, people are supporting each other in their journey, which is, listen, when you're going through heartbreak, you can use as much help as you can get, because talking to friends, talking to families, it just doesn't do it. They're going to be shooting you down. They're going to be saying, just move on, don't talk to that person ever again, blah blah. All those things, all the things that just doesn't help. When you're activated, like, you're just not helping. So subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that for me. Avoidance take you on a painful roller coaster ride. It is definitely a roller coaster ride. The highs are really highs and the lows are really low. Because once you see who they are, and you know who they are, and you know them on a deep level, where other people are probably like, I don't know why you tolerate that person. It's like, you guys don't understand. I don't know if you want to call it pillow talk or whatever it is, but sometimes it's not even pillow talk. It's the story that you're walking together, and they tell you about, this person did this to me in the past, and you're so like appalled or devastated or whatever it is. You have so much empathy for them that it's really hard for you to just like walk out of their lives. Because people ask me all the time, is it worth, like the title of the video, is it worth even being with an avoidant? Like, look, absolutely. Because people disagreed on one of my videos where I said it can be a fulfilling relationship, and it can, but the person has to do the work. The avoidant person has to be able to meet you in the middle, because nobody works harder on relationships, even if it's to an unhealthy level, than the anxious and the fearful person, fearful avoidant person. Nobody works harder or bury themselves in personal development and trying to make the relationship work than the anxious people. But when we see that avoidant person working and actually going to therapy and telling you about their breakthrough sessions and letting you know, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to, meet your love language. I'm going to try to speak your love languages a little better this time. It's the time where they come up to you and they rub your shoulders and you're like, whoa, that's out of the blue. And they say, hey, yeah, I've been listening. I've been hearing you. The steps that they take to become more secure is what hooks you, because you see that potential inside of them. Unless they're like a severe DA person, then I'm like, don't even stick around, because if they're not going to even remotely try to meet your needs and meet you in the middle, then you're wasting your time. Then you have to ask yourself, why am I attracted to this person? Is it because this is exactly how my dad treated me, or this is exactly how my mom treated me? And subconsciously, those things are coming to the forefront. Like, what is it? Air bubble. Totally agree. Being close friends with him for so long, first, those walls had already came down. Wasn't expecting them to go up as hard as when they did, but they did. Sorry, people. Wasn't expecting them to go up as hard as they did, but they did. Yeah, they go back up because a lot of the time they get scared that, what I did just now, what I said, what I disclosed was just a little bit too vulnerable. I gave a little bit too much of myself away. And that's scary, because they pride themselves in being, I got this. I don't need anyone. I'm good to go. I don't need a therapist. This is how I am, and this is how I'll always be. And I'm good. I can operate this way, till they're 50 years old, and then they don't have anybody, they haven't had any real steady, stable relationships in their life. And their biggest complaint that they got from people like, hey, you weren't meeting my needs. You didn't even care about me, or you're a workaholic, that's when they started thinking like, what is going on? Maybe it's me. I had a client that was dealing with somebody that was an avoidant, and, his mom told him, was like, you have to start thinking about this. You've been divorced twice. You've got XYZ going on. Maybe it's you. Are you the problem? That's when it clicks, and that's when they like reach out to people, maybe counseling or a coach or whatever. And it's like, what? I was really into this one girl, and she just broke it off with me. I like you. Would you be my boyfriend? I'm an FA. Hilarious. Was my DA's trauma story told to rope me in? No, Tiger. I don't. I guess everybody's different. I hope not. I hope, because that would be more along the lines of narcissism. I would say for the vast majority of them, no. They want that closeness. They want to be able to have that camaraderie, that companionship with somebody. It's just that they're most likely scared to do so. And they may show you that little, they'll drop the cloth for a little while. I'm like, whoop, got to go back behind it, because they're trying to protect their feelings and their heart. So I would hope not. I was just wondering if he even thinks about or misses me. He hasn't even bothered to reach out, and it's been almost 3 months. So with them, that's pretty typical. 3 to 6 months. They go into the relief phase right away. They go into the like, oh man, this is done, and now I can get back to just working and doing me and whatever else they do, escapism, to make themselves not feel the breakup. You're probably going to have to be the one to reach out to him, because once it gets to a point, he's going to feel like, all right, this person has moved on. or this person is so upset with me, they don't want it, the door is already closed. So that's if that's something you want to do. I'm dating an avoiding guy who has a lot of emotional intelligence and maturity and is willing to go back to therapy. A far cry from my last avoidant. There's a scale. He's doing the work. My last avoidant who didn't want anything to do with that. Good for, see, now that guy is making this, he's taking the strides. He's doing what he has to do, you know. He's doing what he has to do. And bravo, get that man a hand clap. Personal accountability. And he's emotionally intelligent too. You know, emotional intelligence is probably, if I had to think about as a coach, what would be the single most important thing in relationships, I would probably have to say emotional intelligence. And the reason I say that is because I feel as if it encompasses a lot of different aspects of being able to have a healthy relationship. You know, if you're emotionally intelligent, you're able to be reflective. You're able to be mindful about, you know, the things that's going on. You're able to be able to take accountability for some of the things that you're doing in a relationship. You know, this is where it's like the, you know, Dr. John Gottman's 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, you know, the 4 things that happen in a relationship that will ruin a relationship, which is criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. If you're emotionally intelligent, you'll be able to counteract a lot of those all 4 of those things. Like, you'll be mindful about it. Like, you'll be able to, it's apocalypse buster, basically. If you guys think I'm on to something, put a 1 in the chat. If you agree with that, put a 1 in the chat. And if you haven't heard of Dr. John Gottman's The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, I would advise for you to look that up. And it's basically the notion or the theory that if these 4 things consistently happens in a relationship, which I mentioned before, your relationship will end with, I think, over 95% accuracy. You know, and when you're dealing with somebody who isn't emotionally intelligent, somebody who is more avoidant, they'll get defensive and they'll stonewall. You know, those are all things that if you consistently do that, the relationship is just going to die. It's going to die a slow and sometimes fast and furious death. So how do you build emotional connection with an avoidant ex? I would say first, give it time. Somebody said at gunpoint. Can I even say that on YouTube? Well, it's been said already. First, give it time. And you have to rebuild that friendship. I know most coaches tell you, don't be friends with your ex. But when you're dealing with an avoidant person, you have to rebuild that safety and security with that person first. Like, you can't just go in and think that you're going to talk about the relationship again and pick things up where they left off last time. You have to rebuild that thing all over again. You get no brownie points. You get no stickers from the last relationship. You have to start that thing all over again if there's something that they want to do, because they may just move on. They may just go to the next person. Do they ever help themselves? Yes. That's a very broad question there, Lenise. Of course they do. Most of the relationship dynamics is the avoidant and anxious person. I mean, that's just the reality. My avoidant ex is leaving today for a year, and I'm keeping no contact instead of texting them good luck. I love them, but I need to focus on getting secure and moving on. I know it's a tough decision to make, to do or not to do. It's a tough decision to make. But if you're going to be doing it and it's genuinely because of you want to secure your mental health, I advise that. You have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. So if you guys are just coming in here, you're not subscribed to the channel yet, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and hit the notification so you know when I'm going live and you know when I'm releasing new information, new content. Content. You know, it's funny, when I first started doing this, I didn't really realize what content was I thought I was just somebody that just had a microphone, a camera, and I was talking. But you know, then after a while, you know, you guys seen the history of the channel. It's grown almost to 6,000 in a year almost. I didn't understand the magnitude of the things that I was saying because I was just living, you know, I was just putting my story out there and helping people see my vision on the things that I've been through. You know, kind of help people walk my journey with me. And after a while, they're like, I love your content. I guess I'm creating content. I guess I'm a content creator. So I thought it was funny. Thank you, because it was the most traumatic story, almost unbelievable, but it was true. I won't give up on him, but I wish he would reach out first for once. Probably won't. They may close the door. You got to build that. You got to build that rapport with them again. They get very defensive if you tell them anything, then detach. Yeah, and it also depends on like where they're at in their journey. Like if there's somebody who's been through just a ton of trauma and a ton of abandonment, a bunch of people just leaving their lives, that is also going to determine how flexible they're going to be with changing themselves and healing their own style. Because they may get to the point where they're just like, I don't even care anymore. Like everybody leaves, everybody complains about this or that about me. I'm just a damaged person. I'm no good in relationships. So what's the point of me even trying anymore? So, you know, if you're going to leave just like everybody else. When they get a little older like that, that's the thing, that is the narrative that they have in their head. And they're not even willing to change that, you know. That stuff's really solidifies. If you guys are just coming in, subscribe to the channel, appreciate you. I totally agree, coach, but I don't know how to make a safe space for her to open up. Take the time, like I said, first let the time pass. Get through that relief. Let them get through that relief period, which is about 2 to 3 months on average. It can go for a while. Like if they're in a rebound relationship, that's really going to mess with that time frame too. So because they have that third party that's going to be influencing, that's going to be, you know, speaking in their ear and letting them know that what they're feeling is validated. And it's funny too, because you almost would like want to shake them down. Like, look, don't you see what's going on? Like, there's going to be people around you that's going to be, they're not going to have your best interest. And this is as far as rebound relationships. They're not going to have your best interest in mind, especially if it's something that they want from you. If they want you, don't take advice from them. You know, take advice from other people. Follow your gut instinct. Follow your intuition. Tiffany Lee, appreciate you. Namaste. Hi, coach. My ex reached out after a 6-month breakup, and he said he loved me. Whoa, that's extreme. After being with him for a year and a half, and him never saying it, he wants to try again. Should I go back? Hey, if this is your fairy tale ending, you know what I would say is yes, but you have to re-engage the relationship. You have to make a whole different relationship. All right. It's been 6 months. You know, if you're single, if you've been dating, then, you know, don't completely get rid of all those other people that you've been talking to. You know, that's not something that's a smart idea. But you want to make sure that you lay out the foundation for how the relationship is going to go in the future. Take it slow. Don't jump right back into something that you're not completely ready for. And you should still be guarded. You should still have you should don't completely dull out your spidey senses. You just keep your spidey senses going, and just let him know, hey, this is how we want to make the relationship thrive this time. You know, these are my issues that I had the last time we were together, and this is what I've been learning about myself and what I need to feel safe, understood, and heard in relationships. And this is what I learned about you and what you need in a relationship. We were both if you were an anxious person and you pushed them completely away, you want to make sure that you understand what you did last time was it was unhealthy and it was clingy and it was a little bit extreme. So moving forward, this is something that you don't want to reoccur. You want to be able to have these tough discussions and be able to have him stand in that storm with you and not completely vacate you if he broke up with you, and like not completely abandon you, and let him know about your core wounds. You know, it's been 6 months. What do you have to lose at this point? I feel like you're already detached from the outcome. So let him know, hey, these are my core wounds. Like, I fear the abandonment. I have this going on. I have that. Like, and the reason that the relationship fell apart last time is because you were really activating these fears of mine. So this isn't something that I want to happen again. You know, I've really healed. I've really progressed throughout this breakup. Oh, wow. He's 39. I think he feels like that totally. Okay, baby steps. We'll leave him alone for a while, then turn up bright and breezy. One thing I also learned about the avoidant person is they have the tendency to struggle with like this low scale depression. Sometimes it's very high scale depression where it's just like debilitating, but they do have this like underlying depression going on. You know, kind of like Eeyore almost, or I like to think of the old man off Up, you know, the guy that you know, wife died, and they're just kind of like, I don't really need anybody else around me. Go away, kid. Like they kind of, especially when they're older, but it may not be to that extreme. But it kind of, whenever I think about them, I think about just how like isolated they are and how they don't want to open lower their walls and open themselves back up to people because it's very scary. I threw up the deuces and said I was done, and I know him like I do. He won't reach back out. Once before we broke up, but he was sending random text messages and finally said he missed me. It was never this long, though. Yeah, I mean, if you think about every time that you break up with somebody, think about a used Bandaid. All right. It's kind of an analogy I like to use. You know, if you put the Bandaid on for the first time, it's got that stick, you know, it's kind of painful sometimes. You know, if you got hairy arms as a man, it's kind of painful. You know, every time you rip that Bandaid off, it's just going to get more hairy. It's going to get more dirty, and it's not going to quite stick the same until you get to the point where like, yep, I just need to just go out and just get a new box of Band-Aids because this isn't working anymore. And it's like that every time that you introduce the idea that, hey, I can abandon you at some point. I can leave you and you're not the one for me. It's going to make people a little bit more apprehensive about being in that relationship. I like to call it emotional double dutch. Like they'll be a little bit emotional. Like, do I jump in? You hurt me really bad last time. I don't know if I can go in there and get my heart broke again. So, and a lot of people come to the realization that, hey, this person just may not be for me. This just isn't my person. If you guys are coming in here, you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to sign up for my Patreon account, 70% off coaching. I promise you, 70% off coaching if you sign up for the Harvest level membership. It's funny because my ex was the one that abandoned me, but I'm not going to give up on her. I'm willing to improve myself and understand her better. Hopefully it will all work out. Praying for you. Always. He is like Eeyore. Nope, they won't change when they get older. They will avoid that journey at all costs. No one matters that much to them. Yeah, and when they get older, they'll probably take up fishing, take up boating, golfing, and just find little hobbies that's going to fill that void for a need for connection. You know, maybe bury themselves into their grandkids, really take up stock in their grandkids and their family. So that's typically what I've seen. Thank you, Coach. Yes, I am detached. I'm actually starting dating someone for the past 3 months, but I think the new person is also a DA. How'd you go and do that, Zara? Why do I attract these men who avoid meeting my needs? It's all subconscious. I can almost guarantee you that you met some other guys, probably some guys that are anxious, maybe some guys that were fearful, and you weren't attracted to them. You're probably like, too much. This is scary. You probably were just scared of them. They didn't do it for you. I talked about that in my last couple live sessions ago about, how the guys that don't meet your needs, they look more like the bad boys. They look more unavailable. They look like a prize because you have to go after them in order to feel special. And that's typically what tends to happen when you're dating an avoidant person. It's like they're a prize and you're going after them. And you like really are, seeking their validation and their attention. And when you don't get it, you struggle. There's a quote that I read a long time ago, and I'm giving away the forum on this one. All right. They say that scientific studies show that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. Now, you guys can debate it all you want. You can talk about it all down in the comment section all you want. But from what I've learned as a coach, that has turned out to be true. Women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And the guys who are overly emotional, always talking about their feelings and how they feel about the person and how they can't live without the person, those are the guys that end up getting pushed away. They get put in friend zone and they get left. And that's just, I've seen it over and over and over again. This is why when people go into marriages and the guy could have been an alpha, could have been somebody that was a good, strong provider, grunted a lot, didn't talk about feelings or emotions. When they get into the marriage, they end up, becoming a little too easy in the relationship. Feelings are very transparent. And then after a while, because women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces, they're like, this doesn't seem as masculine as it was before. Go figure. Relationships are tough. They're like Rubik's cubes. Oh, man. The ironic thing is avoidants are terrified that abandonment, but deep down, by not doing the work, by not fighting that fear, they're abandoning themselves. Absolutely. It is completely self-sabotage. I never said it wasn't. It is completely self-sabotage. They do it to themselves, really. But when you don't know better, you can't do better. We're only as good as our predecessors or our ancestors. And most of the time, your attachment style is passed down through people in your lives, your parents. That's how it's formed. So if this is all you've ever known, and this is how, if your mom never showed PDA, like public display of affection, and never held hands and never kissed in public, you're going to subconsciously retain that. It's all subconscious. But then once you start to do the inner healing work and you're able to get in touch with that inner child and be able to bring that stuff to the conscious level, that's when the real work begins. That's when the real healing begins. But there are a lot of people who don't want to force that, don't want to face that. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to take the journey. I see 28 people in here. Please like the feed. Like the feed. Love the feed. Slam the feed. Do that for me. And subscribe. So you'll always know when I'm going live and when I'm answering questions. I know some people don't. You want to stay private. If you want to talk to me in private, book a session with me, and let's make that happen. Also agree about the nice man. I just kicked one to the curb, but it was some other stuff too, though. He was ready to take me to the altar. Yeah, see, that screams insecurities. Anytime that I've seen people try to take somebody to the altar, within the first couple months of meeting them, it's most likely because they're hiding something, and they don't want you to see who they really are before they get the shackles on you. That is definitely, and You know, that's stage 5 clinger stuff right there. That's the person that's going to be showing up at your house at all times of the night, jealous, going through your cell phone, you know, going through your Facebook, texting the guys back that's texting you. That's the type of vibe that you get from there. From my experience, they tend to leave when things get hard. Like my ex left me twice, but I'm still not going to give up. We live and we learn. Avoidants are still worthy of unconditional love. You know, Tiff, you need to write a book on that one, because if you guys believe that unconditional love is still a thing, if you believe unconditional love is still a thing, put a 1. If you don't believe in unconditional love, put a 2. This is a debate that I have myself all the time. All the time I'm going back and forth on this one. Is there such thing as unconditional love anymore? Back in the day, yes. But now, I'm not so sure. I feel the only unconditional love that is usually shown is to your kids or your pets. But for every other love, it's conditional. Like even my tattoo. I got eternal love as my tattoo. I don't know if that still exists anymore. We got some ones. We got a lot of ones in the chat. It's good to know people are still out there like that. Lisa with the curveball with the 2. See? Is it still a thing? And when you're dealing with somebody that's I guess us anxious people, we can say, hey, yeah, it's unconditional, baby. I'm gonna love you forever. But for the people who are more avoidant, it's like, yeah, I'm seeing some things I need. That's when they start to deactivate. I'm seeing some things that I'm not really feeling there. You know, I'm not really on board with that. Josette said it does exist. All right. We need to make more people like you guys. Now, I'm not saying unconditional love where you're putting up with toxic behaviors, you're putting up with narcissism, you're putting up with abuse. That's not what I'm talking about. But if the relationship was reasonably healthy and you guys didn't have like major issues and just little things caused them to pull back, deactivate, and get scared, they're getting scared of moving in together, getting scared of getting married, you know, those type of things. That's what I mean. You know, that's the unconditional love that I'm talking about. Not the unconditional love where you're putting up with a bunch of different unhealthy behaviors that's giving you anxiety at night and stomach ulcers. Not that type of unconditional love. I'm talking to love that's healthy. You know. Okay, I like this. I surely don't think so. There are conditional everything. It's what you can do for me. See, Lisa, she's telling you, it's what you can do for me. There's not a lot of unconditional love out there anymore. And honestly, you want to know who I feel is to blame for this new era of relationships? I really feel that a lot of it has to do with social media. Hands down, 100%. It's going to be hard for you to stand in the storm with somebody when the next person is holding an umbrella for you. You know, the person that's in your DMs and your inbox is holding the umbrella for you. You're not going to stand in the storm with that person. This is why I think it's partially to blame. I'm not going to say, because people have you can have self-control. You know, you're the master of your own domain. You take accountability for the things that you do, but for the most part, it's very tempting. And there's, that movie I saw. I'm gonna go say the name of the movie, but the movie talked about how there are certain little things that they do, certain little notifications that they push to you to kind of nudge you in the direction of other people, to get your needs met by somebody else. Hey, if you guys coming in here, we got 30 people in here. Slam the like button. Slam the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Get free coaching with me every time I go live. It's not bad. It's not a bad idea. Maybe 1.5. What's that? Oh, Tiger. Okay. Yeah, maybe 1.5. You know, unconditional healthy love. Hey, coach, I just left work. What's up, Simone? Thank you for being here. All right. Well, the chat's kind of getting a little litty in here, so I guess I won't end it. Brenda, what are your thoughts on dating a DA widower? It's hard to know what is what. Explain that one to me. A DA widower, somebody who has a DA who somebody died, who had somebody that died. That's what you're asking. Or pass away is the more political way to say it. Look, man, you guys have been tremendous today. I really appreciate y'all. Really appreciate y'all. Y'all got this live going. Really beneficial stuff in here. Is he avoiding or grieving? Yeah. I listened to Ram Dass. I don't know if you guys know who Ram Dass is. I followed him and followed Wayne Dyer. And Ram Dass, he spent a lot of his career dealing with people that were grieving, people who were going through losses. And grief is a tough process. It's really hard to determine where a person is going to be in their journey at what time frame. You know, everybody grieves differently. Everybody heals differently. The process looks different for every single person. So I guess a person who is grieving from being widowed can look like somebody who is an avoidant. If you still have your feelings and your emotions attached to that person, you're not going to be able to be emotionally available for anybody else. Like, think about that. I say this all the time. It's really hard for a person to give their heart to multiple people. Like, you can't split your heart in half and give it to two people. It's either you have it, one person has it, or the other person doesn't. And unless they're struggling with that Phantom X phenomenon, then you usually have it all the way until they start to see the little flaws and the little comparisons by the X. Please reply to my message. You just sent me an email? No, I got you today. I got y'all. I'll send you a message back. Lisa, that's why I'm glad he has me blocked on everything. That's funny. Which message are you talking about? Okay, sorry. Iram, yeah, I got an email from somebody too. Will anxious, preoccupied think of getting back with their ex while being in a rebound? That's a great question. As a general rule, I would say no. And it all depends on how long the rebound has been going on, if the relationship was healthy or not, if it was a toxic relationship, if the person was communicating. It's because this is what anxious people do. Anxious people, we communicate our needs. Like, we'll talk about what we need in a relationship. And if you consistently ignore what we need, start to check out. Bags are packed at the door and we're looking for another option. But if it was kind of out of the blue and you can reflect on it and say, all right, we typically, for the most part, we had a healthy relationship and this person just got, kind of just went off the deep end. I would say go back and watch my other video. I think it was, I have it on my channel. It's called, I want to say serial monogamy and anxious preoccupied, something like that. But I talk about that in my other video. You're catching me on the spot here. So, but like I said, there's a bunch of different variables that's going to answer that question. If it was healthy relationship or not, the length of the relationship, if you were meeting that person's needs. But if the other person is treating them drastically better than you are, you know, that even though they're in that honeymoon phase, then probably not. Lisa, that's why I'm glad he has me blocked on everything. All right, all our interactions are face to face. He has less chance to be an inauthentic, great air bubble when he has to look me in the eye or not because avoidant. LOL. If a DA is jealous, is that his ego or feelings? Feelings. That was a simple one. That's the vulnerability seeping through his pores. They typically try to hide that, but it's seeping through a little bit because they try to stay pretty confident in who they or hide the insecurity. I'm going to stay prayerful and wait till the Lord sends me someone where they are trying to work on themselves. Stay prayed up. We were together for 14 years. That's a long time. All right, so yeah, that's a huge that's some good context right there, because if the person was an anxious person, and if we're talking about a woman in particular, if she was an anxious, preoccupied woman and she was in a relationship with you for 14 years and she got into another rebound relationship, there's a good chance that their relationship is going to be healthier and she's going to be getting her needs met a little bit more better in that relationship. Because after 14 years, you have to understand that they don't just want to end the relationship like that. You know, it's kind of anticlimactic. So there must have been some really unhealthy things, or it must have been like the relationship must have ran its course, you know? And I don't know if you started to neglect her, if you started to take her for granted, if you were unhealthy in that relationship, toxic. You know, I always joke and say, you know, sometimes it's good to realize when you're the toxic person, you know? So ask yourself that question. My ex was such an avoidant that she broke up with me on a text rather than a person or her face. Yeah, they do that. But I still understand why she did, though. It must have been hard for her. Absolutely. They want that connection. They do. They want the bond with somebody. They do. What's up, coach? Emil, what's up, brother? When an anxious contacts an avoidant after a breakup, but doesn't want the relationship back, what could be the real reasons for reaching out? To see if you're still there, see if you're still around. But you know what? I'm not gonna answer that question so quickly. All right. I feel, you know, that's kind of a form of breadcrumbing too, just to see if you're around, to see if you're still there. Make sure you're not going to, you know, get into a relationship with somebody else. And it's almost like a sign of them still being ambivalent about the new person, uh, about whether or not that thing is going to work out with them. But because they don't feel safe in a relationship with you anymore, and if we're talking about a woman, because they don't feel safe in a relationship with you anymore, they want to make sure they can feel safe again, and also see where this thing is going to go with this new person. This is why I'd say cut off contact. Don't allow for them to have their cake and eat it too. And like she said, stay prayed up. Hey, Eram, I think we've talked multiple times on here. If you want to book a session, or if you want to join my Patreon, it's your cheapest bet. Let's get on camera and talk face to face. See you later, Air Bubble. All right, we're reaching that hour mark. Appreciate you guys for being here. These fruit flies going crazy in here. I don't even have my lime tree anymore, so I'm confused at where they're coming from. If you found this video of any value, please like, comment, and share. Slam the like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're ready for whenever I go live in the future. Turn the notification on. Reach out to me on my other social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as I am Coach Court. All right. Lata, where you been at, ma'am? Look, now everybody wants to start talking again. How you been, Lata? It's good to see you. My day is going well. We had a pretty good live session here, if you ask me. Hi, Coach. Love your content. I'm gonna answer this last one. My XDA just 2 weeks ago came over and filled my fridge with all sorts of stuff. Then 3 days ago called and dumped me and said to never contact her. I'm so confused. Are you sure she's a DA or is she a fearful? I guess we need to do a little bit more, get a little bit more context on where she's at, what her style is, and I guess that could have been like maybe she felt guilty. She filled up the fridge because she felt guilty about how she was feeling, and yeah. Oh, she's a DA. Okay. Maybe she felt guilty about how she was feeling, and it was like her last hurrah, or try to make, I don't know, try to get those feelings back for you, but it just didn't work out. All right, I'm gonna end it. Thank you. I guessed it was feelings, and then he seems like he hates me. Nah, he doesn't hate you. All right. See you guys later. Told my FA last night. Whoa, hold on. Told my ex FA last night she needed to look into herself and do some inner work. Now I'm blocked on everything. You went nuclear, Cody. All right, guys. Namaste. I love you guys. See you soon.